नागाननाय श्रुतियज्ञ विभूषिताय गौरीसुताय गणनाथ नमो नमस्ते। कर्पूर गौरम करुणावतारम संसार सारम भुजगेन्द्रहारम सदा वसंतम हृदयारविंदे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। सर्वमंगलमांगल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यंबके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। या कुन्देन्दुतुषारहार धवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्मा च्युतशङ्कर प्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा। आविर्बभूव कलशं दधतर्णवाद्यः पीयूषपूर्ण ममरात्वक्रते सुराणां रोग्जालजीर्ण जनताजनितः प्रसन्तो धन्वन्तरि च भगवान् भविकाय भूयात्। ओम शांति ओम शांति। नमस्कार 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 साहब, सभी को प्रणाम। राजगोपाल जी को भी नमस्कार। नमस्कार नमस्कार साहब, बहुत अच्छा। इस टेक्निकल वातावरण में, कोविड पेंडेमिक में हम लोगों को टेक्नोलॉजी मिला रही है और इसमें भी आदित्य बाबू निमित्त मात्र बने हैं। तो मैंने कहा बहुत अच्छा, बहुत ही अच्छा है। जय हो। आप सबका स्वागत है इमामी झंडू आयुष समृद्धि वेबिनार में। आप सभी का स्वागत है, हार्दिक स्वागत है और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप लोग ज्वाइन हुए। आदित्य, आप सर का परिचय दो और मॉडरेट करो।
नमस्कार सर, वेलकम वेलकम सर। और सबसे पहले मैं परिचय दूंगा हमारे डॉक्टर साहब, डॉक्टर के शंकर राव, प्रोफेसर एंड हेड ऑफ नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेदा रस शास्त्र डिपार्टमेंट। And today the topic of discussion will be Jarna from mercurial preparation is the topic of discussion by Dr. K. Shankar Rao sir. And we have an Dr. Rajagopala sir from All India Institute of Ayurveda, Delhi. And today the topic of discussion is pandemic COVID-19 in children's will be the topic of discussion. I welcome both the experts for today's session. Welcome sir. I will request Professor K. Shankar Rao sir to start the session. Sir, please.
Thank you. Thank you Aditya ji. Thank you so much. हमारे परम मित्र डॉक्टर पवन कुमार शर्मा जी और दूसरे परम मित्र डॉक्टर राजगोपाल जी और आदित्य जी, आप सभी को नमस्कार। और मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ इमामी झंडू को कि हम लोगों को भी इस अपॉर्चुनिटी दिया गया है और साथ ही जो भी छात्रा है या जो भी साइंटिस्ट है इसमें भाग ले रहे हैं उनको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ। तो मैं शुरू करता हूँ। शुरू करने के पहले एक छोटी सी निवेदन है कि इस टॉपिक इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है, ये एकेडमिक एस्पेक्ट में नहीं है, एकेडमिक के साथ साथ इंडस्ट्री के लिए भी उतना ही आवश्यकता है जितना एकेडमिक इंटरेस्ट है उतना ही जो है ये इंडस्ट्री के लिए भी आवश्यकता है। क्योंकि बिकॉज ऑफ द इंडस्ट्रीज आर प्रिपेयरिंग number of rasaushadis, so we have to concentrate on the fundamental principles of Rasashastra, especially for the preparation of rasaushadis. There is no doubt at all that rasaushadis are highly having a highly important role in the patient care. Or that too, number of industries, they are preparing a number of formulations. Even I am giving one example of Imami Jandu. They are preparing Shwasakudaras and Murtunjaras, Ekangavirras, Agnitundivati, and etc. etc. But till date, the country has no side effect or no problem by using the Imami Jandu is preparing the medicines with the proper following SOP and SMP of the Rasaushadis especially. So by keeping these things only, that the role of Gandhak Jarna in the mercurial preparations. This topic was I'm going to present before you, and the thing is that, and so many contributors are there for the preparation of the Gandhak Jarna in the field of Rashastra, especially in the NIA and Jamnagar and Banaras Hindu University, these PG, PhD scholars and teachers. So for them also I'm thankful to them. So here, role of Gandhak Jarana in the mercurial preparations. So in what way the sulfur helps for the preparation of Rasaushadis? This we are going to see. Parada is one of the most important substance having power of ingesting all metals and minerals. This everybody knows because of Rasana Sarva Dhatunam Rasa Ityabhidiyate. By having the quality of this mercury, which is ingesting all metals and minerals, and some textbook says that Eko Asarasara Sajja Nirjara Marnam Krute. This is the importance of mercury in the field of Rasashastra. You all know the Rasashastra is mainly for Rasa, Parada, yeah, mercury, and its potentiated other associated drugs is described well in that. So here is one of the most important substances having power of ingesting all metals and minerals. By virtue of its nature, it has capacity to bring metallic and metabolic transformations. See, the beauty of rasa is it has capacity to bring about metallic and metabolic transformations. The single drug is to transmute the lower metals into higher metals. Metal converts into the lower metals converts into higher metals. That is metallic transformations and metabolic transformations means when that transmutes a transformation taking place in the metals. At the same time, if you apply in the body, that can also transformations in the metabolic body. That means by virtue of its nature, it has capacity to bring about metallic and metabolic transformations that even living and non-living objects that brings into the metabolic transformations. Example here, the transformations are possible. These transformations, metallic and metabolic transformations, are possible after subjecting the mercury into various special processes such as Ashtasamskaras, Ashtadasha Samskaras, and Murchana and Jarna, etc. etc. If you require transformations in metal and metabolic transformations, that the mercury only having the capacity of special processes with the Ashta Samskara and Ashta Samskara, such as Murchana and Jarna, etc. etc. So here we are concentrating only the Gandhak Jarana, which is a popular process for the mercury, so that it's limited to the only the Gandhak Jarana only here, right? So literally the Gandhak Jarana removes impurities. How it removes impurities? Because of this sulfur combines with the mercury, and that forms a new compound, right? That means the elemental mercury converts into compound forms so that the impurities, the toxic effects of the mercury will be reduced. With that only, the reducing toxic effects, and also when reducing toxic effects, that potentiate of mercury in many ways. So this is the literally happens in the Gandhak Jarana with the mercury with the mercury. So here the opinion of classics is without a processing Gandhak Jarana, either maybe Ekaguna, Dviguna, Triguna, or Shadguna, the path does not attain disease curing property. Either if you prepare Rasindura with equal quantity of Gandhaka and Parada, or 6 times with the Gandhaka, the Parada does not attain any disease curing property because of without a processing. This is much more important for the fundamental principles, so that everybody should follow the Gandhaka Jarna process to get the good quality of the medicine, and that goes to the disease curing property. So once again, I'm stressed here that without a processing Gandhak Jarana, the Parada does not attain disease curing property. So that means we have to go for the Gandhak Jarana. See, one quotation which is there uh, in the Rasa Chintamani, that Rasaguna Balijaranam Vina Ayam Na Kalu Ruja Haranakshamu Rasendra. Rasaguna Balijaranam Vina Ayam Na Kalu Ruja Haranakshamu Rasendra. That means without Balijarana, you cannot, the medicine cannot cure, the formula cannot cure the Vyadhis, diseases. So that this is much more important here. Thus, Jarna considered as an important process for the preparation of medicines. And with that Jarna only, what happens? Sarva papa kshaya jate prapyate rasa jarana. Here, papa is the synonym of Vyadhi, right? So that is Sarva papa. That means almost all diseases which have been reduced by using the Rasajarana, Gandhak Jarana medicine, or we can say Rasajarana medicines only. With that only, this is important for the preparation of medicines. So, Sarva Papa Kshaya Jate Prapyate Rasajarana. So, almost all diseases that can be curable by using the Gandhaka Jarita Parada. So, this is the one of the aim of the classical opinion generally. Philosophical point of view, what Gandhaka Jarana is. In Rasarnava, Shiva says, Parvati, you are the mother of all creatures, and I am their father. In the text of Rasarnava, Shiva says, Parvati, you are the mother of all creatures, and I am their father. Without cohabitation, a formation of Hara Gauri Srishti. With the combination only, the Hara Gaura Srishti will be forms. How? Because of if Prakriti is there, Prakriti cannot be made into Shakti. So that requires Prakriti and Jeev, Purusha is combination only, then the Sushti Utpatti will be taking place. With the same concept, it is mentioned that that the Parvati and Shiva are the mother and father of the all creatures. With their cohabitation only, the formation of Hara Gaura Sushti Sanyoga, isn't it? With that only here, Hara means the mercury and Gauri sulfur, and Sushti is the ultimate is compounds form, compound medicament, we can say. So with that only, one example here I am giving, Shiva Shakti Samyogat Prapite Paramam Padam. Without combination of these two, there is no any medicament, or there is no any effect in the clinical features, and there is no any proper formulation. So that there should be Shiva Shakti Samyogat Prapyate Paramam Padam. Then only you will achieve the achievement in any aspect. So overall, the story of Rasarnava indicating that the combination of Parda and Gandhaka compounds causes Divyatanu, that means Paramam Padam, that means ultimate attainment of moksha, and Divyatanu, strong and immortal body will be there by using of the Rasajarana Parada in the formulations. Okay, so keeping these only, almost all the formulations they have been mentioned with the Gandhak Jarana, either Samaguna or Dviguna or Triguna or Shadguna, with that only till attainment of Koti Guna. This is a conceptual point of view, basically to speak. Here, this is a tantric style of chemistry. What tantric style of chemistry is saying that Hara Gauri Srishti, and without Ardhanarishvara of Lord Shiva, he cannot work properly. So that this is the tantric style of chemistry saying that Hara Gauri Srishti Sanyogat, that gives the Paramam Padam, that gives the a good achievement only with the combination only. This is a tantric style of chemistry, whereas the modern chemistry versus tantric chemistry, you see, mercury and sulfur Parvati Rajas, and the Srushti comes into the HGS, that is called Rasa Sindur or Makar or whatever it may be. Right? So here the Haragora Srushti Sanyogat, the mercury and sulfur combination results into the best quality of the medicament for the clinical point of view. So we have to see the tantric chemistry and the modern chemistry are one and same. The tantric chemistry is mentioned in the form of a codex form, whereas the modern chemistry is the elemental form only, isn't it? So, but both are one and same. There is no difference in that modern and tantric chemistry. Here, few references are available in Rasendra Chudamani and Rasapaka Sudhakara regarding the Gandhaka Jarana of Parada. A detailed description with regards to importance and necessity of Gandhak Jarana is available in Rasendra Chintamani. Rasendra Chintamani elaborated regarding Gandhak Jarana and its necessity and its importance also. So we can go in next slides in generally. So what is Gandhak Jarana? The Gandhaka in different proportions are added to mercury and allowed it to burn in it with the help of fire through some specially recommended indigenous apparatuses, specially designed indigenous apparatuses. That means the different proportions of sulfur or different proportions are added to mercury and allow it to burn. That means to bring into chemical reactions with the mercury as well as sulfur, purified mercury and purified sulfur, right? With the help of Agni, fire, through some specially recommended indigenous apparatuses. That means the mercury, purified mercury in aerobic method and purified sulfur in aerobic method, that Agni is given and the combination is Harakora Sushti Sanyoga, the HGS will be formation. According to Ayurveda Prakasha, the Jarana and Murchana are used as synonyms, but this is true in the context of a Gandhak Jarana. Otherwise, Murcha is quite different from Jarana. See, the beauty of the Rashastra is Murchana and Jarana are entirely separate topics. Entirely separate topics. Because of Jarana is a primary process, the Murcha is a secondary process, final process. We can say primary process and final process. But Ayurveda says that Jarana and Murchana are used as synonyms. Synonyms. But this is true in the context of Rasa Sindhura only. Rasindura only. Otherwise, Murchana is quite different from Jarana because of in Rasindura preparation, the Gandhak Jarana is taking place in the Kupi, but at the same time, after completion of final process, that indicating that has the capacity to cure the diseases. So that Murchana is also there So here the word is Charana, Mochana are synonyms only in case of Rasindura, not other preparations. This is clearly mentioned in classical textbooks, and it's also clearly known in the practical aspect also, isn't it? So once again, I'm telling that the Gandhak Jarana, Charana and Mochana are the synonyms according to Ayurveda Prakasha. This is only in the context of Rasindura only, not in other formulations. So remember that. So here, opinion of experts of Rasashastra says that Gandhaka Jarita Parada become able to absorbable, effective, and cures different elements in the biological system. Because of the Jarita, Gandhaka Jarita Parada is in a compound form, not in elemental form, so that that can be easily absorbable. Mutani lohani rasi bhavanti, isn't it? So this is the condition achieves only by adding of Gandhaka to the Parada only, right? With keeping that only, the Mutani loha rasi bhavanti becomes the observable, effective, and cures different ailments in the biological system, right? So this is another words you can say, Dehe Kramata Sutendra Natra Karyam Vicharana. So definitely the Gandhaka Jarata Parada cures all the diseases. We should not have any doubts regarding its efficacy, keeping that only Dehe Kramati. Here Kraman means the transformation of the body and transformation of the metals, isn't it? So there should Kramati Sutendra, नात्र कारसम विचारणा कि कोई विचार करने का आवश्यकता नहीं पड़ता है. If properly prepared, properly Gandhak Jarita Parada is there, then if you achieve properly, definitely that cures the diseases in the biological system. So what are the yantras that can be used for the Gandhak Jarana? For the purpose of Gandhak Jarana, nearly 20 types of yantras have been mentioned in Rasa Paddhati. 20 types of yantras have been mentioned in Rasa Paddhati. Out of these, the Garbha Yantra, Musa Yantra, Udar Yantra, Tuna Yantra, Istika Yantra, and the most easily available and used in the institutions as well as the industries is Valuka Yantra is common and popularly used apparatus. Apart from that, the electrical modified muffle furnace is also there. The electrical muffle furnace was firstly used by Professor Damodar Joshi, a great guru of Rashastra. He was introduced in the field of Rashastra. Only the electrical muffle furnace only I'm telling. Okay? And remaining the other teachers like Shankar Sharma, like they have been also given some apparatuses. We respect all such great gurus here. So method of jharana, how the method of jharana is taking place. From looking all methods, one thing become clear that whole amount of sulfur is not added at a time, it is added little by little. So we come into practical aspect now. If we want to go for Shedguna Gandhak Jarana, if we don't add the 6 times of sulfur to the mercury at one time, isn't it? That does not get the whole sulfur will burnt out, isn't it? So we have to make the mercury to assimilate the sulfur, whatever the possible amount during the process only, keeping that only. Whole amount of sulfur is not added at a time, it is added little by little. It can be added little by little. That means, for example, if you want to prepare Shedguna Gandhaka Jarana, okay, in the first instance, add some Gandhaka and allow it to burn. Here, burn means that is making to the assimilation of sulfur into the mercury, right? Then add some more, allow into burn, right? The second time. When jarana is completed, add some more and allow it for jarana. In this way, any amount of Gandhaka could be made jarita in Param. Right? Any amount here means we have from the up to Samaguna to Koti Guna. isn't it? Wherever you required, in this way, any amount of Gandhaka could be made Jarita in Parada easily. So this is one example to prepare Gandhaka Jarana, right? So this is a Kupi, and this is Batti. This is maybe, or we can say Valka Yantra, and Valka Yantra we are using easily in available. We can prepare easily to make Gandhaka Jarana in this process only. So the importance of time and temperature is much more important during the process of Gandhak Jarana. Temperature should not be very high or very low and to be adjusted according to the method followed and the yantra used, isn't it? The temperature should not be very high or very low and to be adjusted according to the method followed and the yantra used. Because of method followed means here maybe Antardum, Bahirdum, some other process, right? Some other method. So you have to keep quiet, follow the time and temperature, and yantra is also much more important. What type of yantra is used? Nowadays, easily anybody can prepare by using of the electric muffler furnace. So that takes less time and less pollution and less place, right? Isn't it? And less pollution, etc., etc. So people are preferring the electrical muffler furnace also. So here, Mrudu, Madhya, and Tivra Agni for 6 hours in each case may be needed for the jarana of each part of Gandhaka. This is in case of when we prepare by using of the uh, the wood material, and at the time only every 6 hours, Mrudu, Madhya, and Tikshna Agni, the time is to be required for the jarana of each part of Gandhaka, right? And what happened with that? The importance is during the process, there may be a chemical reaction between mercury and sulfur repeatedly that produces a strong bond structure between the our two molecules of mercury and sulfur. Sulfur will be burnt out and something will be reacted with the mercury. With that only, a strong bond structure will be taking place between two molecules of mercury and sulfur. So that become a good quality of the safest quality of the medicament in general. So what quantity of Gandhaka is there? This is from equal amount to 1,000 times depending upon the purpose. This is depending on the quantity of Gandhaka is depending upon the purpose, how much what you are going to do. Either you want to go for preparation or you want to simply give the medicament or you want to go for the metallic transmutations, isn't it? So this is from the equal quantity to 1,000 times depending upon the purpose that you have to be decide. In addition, going on doing jarana, more and more the power of potentiation of mercury increases. This is the important point here. If you, in addition, if you want to go for sama, vi, tri, chaturguna, etc., that the more and more power of potentiation of mercury will be increased. Here, potentiation increase means that that works that does not produce any toxicity. Number one. Number two, that has having the good capacity to remove the disease from the body or to make the stable of the body. This is the here potentiation means we have to take an in this point of view, isn't it? Okay. So the Gandhaka is burnt and goes as fumes. Its properties are left in the mercury and thus make it more powerful and potent. So how potentiation taking place? This may be the idea. The Gandhaka is burnt and goes as fumes, white fumes, yellow fumes, etc., etc. And its properties are left in the mercury and thus make it more powerful and more potent mercury. Here, okay. The Gandhak Jarna up to Shadguna is sufficient for the purpose of this curing of diseases only. But if it is to be potentiated and made useful for Lohaveda, you have to go for purposes the Gandhak Jarna done up to Shataguna, Sahasraguna, and Kotiguna. Because of, if you want to go for Lohaveda, or transmutations in the metals, or to convert the lower metals into higher metals, you have to go for that. That the mercury is required a much more potentiation. With the keeping that only, Shataguna, Sahasraguna, and Kotiguna is of Gandhaka Jarana of the mercury is required here. So, Shatasahasra Jarata Pada acquires. So, what happens with that? Shatasahasra Guna? What happens? Shatasahasra Jarata Pada acquires a power of Shatasahasra Veditva, that it may be a transmute base metals in 1 by 100th part, 1 by 1000 parts, respectively. That means a much more fine and fine, not only molecular level, even atomic level, even not only atomic level, even at a nucleus level of the materials may be are transmuted by using such type of mercury, isn't it? So the whole base material will be completely converted at not only molecular level, including atomic level, and as well as the at the level of nucleus also, in the body also, isn't it? So transport of base metals in the metals and transmutations in the body also taking place here. We should consider only here the metals, okay, and at the same time, this also consider to the biological body also, because of the cell, the cellular structures in the nucleus of the cell, etc., that can also transmute sometimes by using of such Gandhaka Jarita Parada in the Rashasana. So here, showing types of Gandhaka Jarna according to quantity of Gandhaka added to Parada. So this is the ratio between mercury and sulfur from the part of Shadamsha, 6:1, Chaturthamsha, 4:1, and Trutiyamsha, that means 3 part of mercury, 1 part of Gandhaka, and Ardhaguna, 2 part of mercury and 1 part of sulfur, and Samaguna, both are the Gandhaka as well as the sulfur. Yeah, mercury will be in the Samaguna equal in ratio, and Sardhaguna, 1.5, and Sapada Samaguna, that means 1 part of mercury and 1 1/4 part of the Gandhaka, and Diguna, Triguna, Chaturguna, Panchaguna, Shadguna, Shataguna, Sahasraguna, and Kotiguna. So this much of to make the potentiate of the mercury, so this much of Gandhaka is added because of I already told that the Gandhaka is the Gauri, and whereas mercury is the Shiv, isn't it? The combination of these two, a new compound form will be comes out, that is a mercury sulfide, we can say, or the Rasa Sindhura, we can say. So what are types of Jarana? In the Nirgandha type, no sulfur is used, and mercury is converted to Jarana state by adding other drugs. So there are 2 types of Jarana, Nirgandha Jarana, Sagandha Jarana. So in the Nirgandha type, no sulfur is used. Only mercury is converted to Jarana state by adding of other drugs. For example, Rasakarpur, Rasapushpa, Mugdaras, etc., we can say. This type of medicament, we can say, this type is not so common as it is highly toxic in nature, hence should be used with utmost care. The Nirgandha type of Gandhak Jarana preparation is used very less in the, or even mentioned also in the classical textbooks, very less few formulations, Raskarpur, Rasapushpa, and this Mugdaras, etc. only, right? No other medicament is there, I think so. So this type is not so common as it is highly toxic, because of they might have highly toxic because of Gandhaka is not there. Gandhak is not there with the mercury. so that it became highly toxic. Hence, it should be used with the utmost care. Because of if you want to use Askarpura, you cannot use as Rasindura, isn't it? So that we have to take utmost care by using the preparations which have been prepared without sulfur of mercurial preparations. So we must be cautious. Well, come to the Sigandha Murchana, which is more popular, has been divided in the following subdivisions on the basis of presence or absence of the fumes at the time of preparation. So, the Sagandha Murchana of Parada preparations are more popular, has been divided in the following subdivisions on the basis of their fumes, that means Antarduma, Bahirduma, Nirduma, etc. and etc. that can be prepared, isn't it? So that means even our acharyas, the Rashasa scholars, they know that the preparations which have been contained, the Gandhak Jarita Parada is highly safe as compared to the non-Gandhaka Parada preparations, isn't it? So that we should not be, we should not have any fear while using the Gandhak Jarita Parada also. I think the Jandu and the Imam, they also doing the same thing with by using the mercury with the Gandhak Jarna only. So the importance of Gandhak Jarna is potentiated mercury in many ways by the Jarana. After Jarana, it has become a highly potentiated because of it's a combination of Haragaura Sushti. The method of potentiation depends upon the a proportion of Gandhaka burning with Parada. That means with the Jarana Parada, how much Gandhaka is Jarna was done with the Parada is much more important here. It is said that the potency or effectiveness of Shadguna Gandhak Jarita Parada is much greater as compared to the potency of Usama, Dvi, Triguna, etc. Gandhak Jarita Parada. There is no doubt at all that if you take a Shadguna Gandhak Jarita Parada, that definitely have the higher side, higher potency as compared to Sama, Dvi, Triguna, Chaturguna, Panchaguna, etc. Isn't it? So we should not have any doubt with that. That's why the Acharya says that Rasaguna Parijharna Vinayam Na Kalu Rujahana Kshamo Rasendraha. So Parijharna should be there with the mercury. It is further says that the potency or the effectiveness of the Shataguna, Sahasaguna, Gandhak Jarata Parada may be 100 times and 1000 times more potency than the ordinary Shodhita Parada. Right? Okay. So it should have, it is further says that the potency or the effectiveness of Shataguna or Sahasraguna Gandhaka Jarata Parada may be 100 times and 1000 times more potency than the ordinary Shodhita Parada or ordinary Parada, we can say. So we should have that much of credential to the Dharana process in the field of Shastra. And moreover, the Rasendra Chintamani claimed that without doing Shadguna Gandhaka Jarna Parada, does not become capable of removing or curing diseases. This is the claim. Rasendra Chintamani claim that without doing Shadguna Gandhaka Jarna Parada, does not become capable of removing or curing diseases. Because of this, Gandhaka Jarna in different proportions are considered as an essential process for making mercury and its compounds highly effective for the therapeutic purposes. So this is much more important. We have to use the Gandhaka Jarita Parada of mercury only in the preparations. It is also an essential prerequisite to the actual Murchana process. Moreover, to attainment of Murchana, this is a prerequisite process. Jarana is prerequisite process for the even Murchana also, because I already said that the Rasindura, the Gandhak Jarna itself is becoming Murchana. So that is also a prerequisite process. As without Gandhak Jarana, the Murchana may not take mercurial compounds therapeutically so effective, and these may not acquire avyabhicharita vyadhigatakatvam. If you want to cure the diseases, you must require a gandha jarita parada only, so that then only that gets avyabhicharita vyadhigatakatvam. Otherwise, no. Here, Ayurveda Prakash is saying that the importance of Gandhak Jarana, Samaguna Gandhak Jarata Parada. If you go for Samaguna, equal quantity of Parada Gandhaka Jarata Parada, 100 times more powerful than the simply purified Parada. Whereas the Dviguna Gandhaka Jarata Parada that cures all types of kustas. The textbook says that it is very difficult to cure the kusta because of some Yapya Vyadhi, right? But here, the Dviguna Gandha Jarata Parada itself is enough to cure the even kustas also, leprosy also, skin disease also. Dviguna Jarata Gandhaka Parada is Jadyata, Jadyatya Nashanam, stiffness ityadi that can be removed. And Chaturguna Jarata Parada, Bali Palita Nashanam, the Bali Palita are to be removed from the body. Panchaguna Gandhaka Jarata Parada that cures the Kshaya Rogas. Whereas Shadguna Gandha Jarata Parada acquires the power of removing all or curing all types of diseases. Because Acharya Adbhuta Krut, according to Vastarangini, is saying that Shadguna Gandha Jarata Parada Acharya Adbhuta Krut. This is the statement of Vastarangini. Here acquires the power for removing or curing all types of diseases. So this much of a variation is there between Sama, Dvi, Tri, Chaturguna, Panchaguna, and Shivana, Parada. Right? Okay. So if you go for 1,000 times and Kotiguna and Lakshaguna, Kotiguna, etc., then that goes a super quality of the mercury, and that definitely cures all the diseases wherever you apply or wherever you use, right? So that the Gandhak Jnana process is much more important in the field of Rashastra. So all Rashastras should be practiced at least. We can encourage that ultimately the medicine should be safe, because of nowadays almost all the modern people like JAMA and some other people, they claim that the Ayurvedic drugs contain much more heavy metals like mercury, cadmium, lead, arsenic, etc., etc. Isn't it? But here, the same people. I will show one slide next slide. That the same people accepted the theory of Rashastra, isn't it? So that this is a great chemistry in the field of Rashastra, and we have to follow to make the medicament suitable to the body as well as to cure the diseases. Moreover, to make the potent of the medicament. Here, some scientific reports I would like to place before you. Some scientific reports. See what happened with the Gandhak Jarana in general. Here, the Dviguna Jarata Gandhak Jarata Parada studied pharmacological studies of Dviguna Gandhak Jarata Parada compound. Example, Makardhwaja here he showed. The Makardhwaja showed no toxic effects found in rabbits at higher therapeutic dose of for a period of 6 weeks. The drug was administered 6 weeks with the higher dose of the human body. Still, there is no toxic effects found in rabbits. This is proved scientifically in the experimental studies. The other thing is that in chronic toxicity study, no significant pathological changes are observed on various tissues of liver, intestine, kidney, lung, spleen, etc., etc. And moreover, the immunomodulatory effect of drug was also improved observed. This is not my statement. This is a scientific study statement that I am placing before you to understand that how Gandhak Jarata Parda works and how it does not produce a toxicity in the human body or in the human organs, etc. The other thing is the pharmacological studies of Dviguna Gandhak Jarata Parada compound in albino rats. revealed that the drug has no toxic effect up to 80 milligram per kg body weight for 40 days. The drug was given 40 days, still there will be no any toxic effects observed by the scientists. The drug was also given human beings in a single dose, 120 milligram per day, and found no toxic effects. This is the greatness of the Gandhak Jarana. The clinical study of Diguna Gandhak Jarana Parada compound was reported that drug having mild renal protectivity and increased immunoglobulins and IgG and IgM values seen. The immunomodulator system and chronic renal failures, we can use the Makadwaja in the disorders of immunomodulator system and as well as chronic renal failure. Keeping this only, Pandit Shiv Sharma was advised Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru when his kidney was failure, isn't it? But the modern people they does not accept that this theory, but it has been proved now that this can be used in case of immunomodulatory and chronic renal failure cases. Gandhak Parada compound has significant on immunomodulatory effect on cell-mediated immunity. In the chronic toxicity study, ponderal parameters, the body parameters did not indicate any toxic effects. So these are the scientific reports of by using of a medicament which has been prepared by using the Gandhak Parada. Here, Shedguna Gandhak Parada compound is having better efficacy over Triguna Gandhak Parada compound. So this is the efficacy of the medicament. Here, mercurial preparations prepared with Gandhak Jarna like Kajali, Rasparpadi, Rasindur, Hemagarba Potali and are least toxic and high efficacy was observed with the various researchers and they have been reported well. This potentiation of mercury depends on proportion of Gandhak Jarna process because of the potentiation of due to is the proportion of Gandhak Jarna in the process. Here, what happened in the Gandhak Jarna process? Why we had to add uh, one time, second time, third time, fourth time, sixth times, like Kotiguna, up to Kotiguna. What happened here? Chemistry point of view. A polysulfide form probably is termed as Gandhak Jarana because of by addition of sulfur, purified sulfur to the mercury, maybe become a polysulfide form that is probably termed as Gandhak Jarana. This is the much more important for the Rasa Shastra people. What is polysulfide mercury? See, any polysulfide of a metal containing divalent anions in which there are chains of sulfur atoms attached. Example, the polysulfide of sodium, Na2S2, is not only Na2S2, that can be, if you're going on adding sulfur, that may become Na2S3, Na2S4, Na2S5, and so on, till a long chain will be there. In the same fashion, in the same fashion, we are adding sulfur to mercury 1, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 6 times, 7 times, like going on, isn't it? So here, that going on, HGS 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, they become a long chain process. So this structure maybe plays an important role in the detoxification of mercury because of more addition of sulfur to the mercury is an important role in the detoxification of the mercury so that the polysulfide mercury is thermodized. America, the polysulfide of mercury is termed as environmental friend. This I am giving here. US patent number also I have given that you can check it because of it is mercury is highly toxic substance they are claiming, but here they have been given a patent for the mercury sulfide and polymercury sulfide, right? And moreover, they are saying that it's an environmental friend and not produce any toxicity. It's not an elemental form. This can be called as an environmental friend. The US patent number 5711929A. This can, you can be check it, isn't it? So then the scientific community is accepting the theory of Gandhak Jarana, isn't it? So we should not have any fear to use mercury or mercurial preparations by using of mercury with the Gandhak Jarana, isn't it? Otherwise, we should have the not 1.32 million population, we have to reduce to 40 million only, isn't it? So we have considered the matter that the polysulfide of mercury is safer side and which is termed as environmental friend. Not only environmental friend, this is a body friend also. That's why the Acharya says that Amrutani Lohan Rasi Bhavanti. Here Loha means not iron. We can take it here that all the elements which have been used for the body. See, the beautiful concept has given by the Rasarnava. Yada lohe tada dehe, yada lohe tada dehe. Jaisa lohe vaisi dehe, isn't it? Kartavyam smutaka sada. Right? And these are what happened. Parasparam deha lohayo. These are used for each other. The man requires metals and metals required by the body. Isn't it? Body requires metals or elements, we can say, and man requires elements, isn't it? So parasparam deha lohayo. These are vice versa used so that this has been given by it's a God gift of the elements for the body. The whole body is made up of Pancha Mahabhutas. Pancha Mahabhutas, nothing but the different of elements, isn't it? So we have to accept the thing that a proper purification, Shodhana, Marana, etc., Amritikarna, right? That makes the tools to make the medical elements to suitable to the body only. So this can be one of the process is called Jarana process. In that the mercury, the Gandhaka is Jarita Parada is used for the preparation of medicines for the potentiation. So what happened here is the final product is found to have a mercury and chloride, isn't it? This is in the non-mercury process. Without Gandhak Parada, only mercury and chloride is there. The Rasakarpura, that means without Gandhak study, reveals that the drug has significantly toxic anisopathologically as well as antimicrobial, even in a lower dose, isn't it? So that we have to use Gandhak Parada here. Some slides I'm giving here, histopathological findings. 5 times human dose of Rasindura liver does not have any changes, whereas normal human dose group showing focal tubular necrosis see the cloudy changes in the Rasakarpura, isn't it? So Rasakarpura is have a medicament, but Rasindura is a safer side. We can say that, isn't it? The effect of Rasindura on rodents was assessed by carrying carrying out carry out 14 days and 28 days toxicity studies. This study was recently conducted in the National Institute of Pharmacy, Jaipur by Dr. Rajagopala Sharma as a PhD study. So the effect of Rasindura on rodents was assessed by carrying 14 days and 28 days toxic studies. In the 28-day study, the animals were administered with either the human equivalent therapeutic dose or 4 or 8-fold higher doses. Right? We have followed the OECD guidelines 407 and 420, etc. So by taking this only, that all animals survived at the end of 14 days as well as the 28 days toxicity study. So Rasasindura did not cause any significant changes in the biochemical and hematological parameters of the animals, isn't it? Histopathology of major organs did not reveal any lesions or toxic manifestations. Although 4 animals exhibited hyperactivity at higher doses, but no behavioral changes were observed at the therapeutic dose. See how the animals reacted with the drug. This is much more important because of the drug Rasindra contain, Haragoras contain the Gandhak Jarata Parada only. So studies reveal that Rasindra is safe at therapeutic dose levels. Hence, the efficacy of Rasindra was tested in a lead-acetated induced oligospermia also, mice model, which exhibited decreased sperm motility and sperm count because of lead is a toxicity on the testes, so the oligospermia was produced. After that, the mice were administered with 75 milligram kg intraperitoneal lead once, and Rasindura was administered orally for a period of 21 days. So 18.7% increase in sperm mortality with the lead acetate, whereas 95.2% increase in sperm count was observed in Rasindura treated group compared to that of lead acetate group. See, this is the potentiation of the mercury. Mercury does not, the Gandhak Jarna powder does not have any toxicity in the body, and moreover, that has causing the increase the mortality 95.2 percentage, isn't it? Here I am giving some the photographs because of liver, overweight, kidney, testis, etc. This is a normal group of control group during the study only, whereas this is also the human dose while using the no structural changes with the control group. This is the Rasindra was given higher dose also. No changes have been seen. This is evidentical is before you, isn't it? So that means the safest one. This is the story of how the oligospermia treated with Rasindura is mainly CA2 plus calpain pathway is helped in the I'm giving a slide. To conclude, the studies reveal a strong scientific basis in the methodology adopted in the preparation of Rasindura based on the in vivo results. Conclusions can be drawn that Rasindura is safe at therapeutic dose levels up to 28 days, and its medicinal benefits in oligospermia may be through CA2 plus calpain pathway, isn't it? So everything is before you only, so we can assess and judge that how the importance of Gandhak Jarana is in the field of preparations and Rashastra, isn't it? The other thing is that excretion of Makardhwaja and Ayurvedic formulation composed of mercury sulfide showed no traces of mercury in urine samples of healthy men. There is no any mercury traces seen after administering the Makardhwaja in a healthy man, isn't it? The effect of an herbal formulation containing mercury sulfide, or we can say Rasindur, Hingul, etc., or Swiss albino mice was studied, and the results showed that the drug, even at doses of 5 to 10 times higher than the normal dose, but that did not show any adverse effects, isn't it? So, histopathological studies did not reveal any toxic effects of the drug, and genotoxic evaluation of mercury sulfide containing iron formulation using micronucleus and comet assay on rats were also studied. There were also no any this one here. So what happened here? The involvement of chemistry. What chemistry is involved? Mercury has been extensively, and the other element used freely is sulfur. Here, after using of mercury, the other element is used, sulfur is generally used. So today, high chemical reactivity of both of these elements is known as Haragori because of they have the high chemical reactivity between them, between mercury and as well as sulfur, isn't it? That means the Shiva and Parvati having the a great chemical reactivity, a chemical affinity, they have the affinity between these two. By keeping that only, here we can say that high chemical reactivity of these elements is known, that is so-called Hara and Gauri, isn't it? From the study of the processes, reported that the Ayurveda scholars are conscious of their properties because of our ancient acharyas. They know that how mercury important and along with the Gandhaka also, isn't it? But but these two combination, how they works, what miracle becomes expected, so that the acharyas know by keeping that only they have been coined Gandhak Jarna of Parada, isn't it? It has been also used sulfur to facilitate formation of sulfides. Rasa drugs, mercury and sulfur have acted as promoters for the final chemical reactions. These to have the combined formation of chemical reactions. So, what my submission is in the conclusion form that Gandhaka is considered as an essential element for various purposes of mercury, such as Murchana, Jarana, etc. This is an essential element for various purposes of mercury, isn't it? Eh? So that keeping that only Divya Tanurvedeya Haragora Susam, isn't it? So Murchana, Jarana, etc. It has been claimed that mercury treated with the process of Gandhaka becomes highly potentiated. I already gave number of examples there, and that is it acquires many pharmacological and therapeutical properties. So this is the importance of a Gandhaka Jarana process. It is further says that Parda may be used for Murchana after simple purification. Generally, Parda may be used for Murchana purpose after simple purification. Isn't it? However, it is used for after Gandhak Jarna in different proportions. Its efficacy in curing disease may be increased many times, isn't it? The simple process of Gandhak Parda Shodhana, isn't it? So, while Gandhak Jarna is much more potentiation of the mercury has been seen. So, with that, we can say that Gandhak Jarna is much more important. So, it is further claimed that in text that mercury does not become therapeutically useful unless incinerated with sulfur in different ratios. So it is claimed in the text that mercury does not become therapeutically useful unless incinerated without Balajarna in different ratios. So mercury sulfur compound stands on the top of the list as compared to non-Gandhaka Partha preparations. If you see the literature of Ayurvedic formulations, you'll get the number of formulations has been mentioned by the acharyas by using of the formulation containing Gandhak Jarda Parada only. The non-Gandhak Jarda formulations, they are very less in number, isn't it? So that means they have the knowledge of the Gandhak Jarana and its role and its importance in the field of Rashastra, in the field of preparations. So scientific studies supports the various proportions of Gandhak Jarana of mercurial compounds are safe and effective. So whatever scientific reports that I have been keep before you that suggests that the mercurial compounds are very safe and effective, those who are prepared with the Gandhak Jarana process. The Gandhak Jarana is a process plays an important role in the preparation of mercurial preparations. So the Gandhak Jarana is much more important in the Rasoshadis, especially. So Rasahuda Tantra says that Divya Tanurvidheya Haragaura Sushti Samyogat. See, if you want a strong and immortal body, you have to use the Haragaura Sushti Samyogat medicament, isn't it? The term Haragaur Sushti used here only indicates mercury and sulfur compounds capable of making the body strong and immortal. Here, that indicates a group of drugs, isn't it? Again, I'm saying that Divya Tanur Videya Haragaur Sushti Sanyogat. The term Haragaur Sushti used here only indicates mercury and sulfur compounds capable of making the body strong and immortal. Right? The ultimate moksha is strong and immortal body, right? Okay. Because of हम जीवित रह के हम जिंदा होके है ना यदि दिव्य तनुर्विधेय हम प्राप्त करेंगे इससे ज्यादा और क्या होगा isn't it? उसी का उसी का कोटेशन है प्रसारणों में बताते हैं पिंड पाते या मोक्ष मरने के बाद मोक्ष मिलता है नहीं मिलता है कोई nobody knows isn't it? पिंड पाते या मोक्ष स निरर्थक मरने के बाद मोक्ष मिलता है वो बेकार है isn't it? इसके मतलब में क्या होता है हाँ पिंडे तो पतिते देवी पिंडे तो मरने के बाद गधा का भी मोक्ष मिल जाती है isn't it? इसीलिए कि मोक्ष यदि पाना है तो जिंदा रह के पाना चाहिए। जिंदा रह के पाने के लिए मीन्स इफ वी हैव लिव ओके, we have to use we have to make the body strong and immortal. Then only you will get attainment of moksha, isn't it? And that comes through only the divya tanurvideya har gaur sushti संयोगात, इसके द्वारा ही होता है। इसलिए कि इसको हर गौर संयोग करने के लिए गंधक जाना प्रोसेस इम्पॉर्टेंट है। गंधक जाना प्रोसेस का अपनाना पड़ेगा। गंधक जाना प्रोसेस का मेंशन किया गया था, इसके वर्णन किया गया है। इसको हम लोग जो है
सर आपका मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा, आपका बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक है प्रोफेसर के शंकर राव सर। मैं आपका टॉपिक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, लेकिन हमारे पास में समय देखते हुए दूसरे एक्सपर्ट स्पीकर भी हमारे साथ में ही हैं, तो मैं आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा 2-3 मिनट्स के अंदर सर आप इसको कंक्लूड करें। राजगोपाल सर, रिक्वेस्ट सर।
So from the modern point of view, it is quite difficult to understand the structure and mechanism of action of various proportions of Gandhak Jarna for the compounds, because of no chemistry is giving any explanations, because it's beyond the limits of chemistry, that what is claimed in the text and need proper scientific evaluations and explanations. So with that only, I'm thankful to you, Aditya ji, Pawan ji, Rajagopal ji, and बहुत सारे रक्षास्त्र प्रेमियों को मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ। थैंक यू सो मच।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इतने नाइस तरीके से आपने बहुत गंधक जरना को अच्छा एक्सप्लेन किया। एक्सीलेंट एक्सीलेंट डॉक्टर शंकर।
थैंक यू सर, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग। इसको हम और भी लंबा कर सकते थे, इसमें आयुर्वेद का जो ज्ञान है सर, लेकिन समय सीमा को देखते हुए हमारे साथ में प्रोफेसर राजगोपाल सर हमारे साथ में हैं, और ऑल इंडिया इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ आयुर्वेदा, HOD ऑफ कुमार वृत्ति डिपार्टमेंट में। सर से रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप आगे मार्गदर्शन करें, आगे अपना ज्ञान साझा करें चिल्ड्रन एंड के ऊपर।
नमस्कार नमस्कार सर। रिस्पेक्टेड पवन शर्मा जी,
वेलकम सर।
मेरे जामनगर का बड़े भाई है।
नमस्कार।
डॉक्टर आदित्य मिश्रा जी, डॉक्टर शंकर राव सर, and all participants of this webinar. My topic today is the current topic, that is COVID-19 and children. It's a very important topic as of today. COVID-19, you know very well. We were hearing about some disease, some unknown disease affecting some province of China in the month of November. And December, January, it came near to us, and February it entered to our country. And March, we had to start all activities to control its spread with the lockdowns, and then all things started. In my presentation, of course, I'll be talking about the pandemic of COVID, impact on children particularly, and certain alternatives which the present generation or present technology has given to us, with which the education part of students are continued with having much difficulties and its ill effects, and certain guidelines given by World Health Organization, certain immunoboosters which we can use in the management or in preventing, that is prophylaxis, as well as in the management of COVID-19 in case it happens. First of all, Vidya Ganesh is a very auspicious day of Ganesh Chaturthi. All our salutations to Ganesh ji. This picture of Ganesh ji I got from WhatsApp, but it is very unique. You can see the leaf, neem leaf. It is very significant also in this COVID era. So Ganesh ji को नमस्ते करते हुए आगे बढ़. A few slides will be in brief about the COVID infection, with one or two important clinical findings, of course, which is again supported in India also. COVID-19, as you know well, it is the novel coronavirus. It's an RNA virus. RNA virus has got a specific nature of changing its nature according to the circumstances, or it is outside the atmosphere, outside the body, human body, or living organism, it is a dead thing. There is nothing to do. But when it enters inside, looking into the circumstances, it changes its presentation. That itself is making it very difficult to have a very specific vaccine or have a specific line of treatment. As you know well, it started with Wuhan and in November, December, as I said earlier, and the whole world is looking for a effective remedy. Now, of course, many countries like Russia and even India, we are also claiming that we have developed vaccines, but how far these vaccines will be effective? In particularly in this type of RNA virus, only time will tell. It is starting with the fever, a dry cough, and tiredness. It also includes aches and pains, different types of aches and pains in the body, throat congestion, headache, conjunctivitis, that is sore eye, otherwise it is called as diarrhea, loss of taste and smell. It is very specific, loss of taste and loss of smell, and sometimes skin rashes. And in white population, you can see discoloration of fingers and toes because of the circulatory problems. It is said that most of the people, it is not it is exactly, it is said, it is experienced that most of the people, they recover from the disease without any specific hospitalization or anything. One in every five, this is only statistics, one in every five enters into respiratory problems and may require hospitalization, advanced care. To go ahead with this, call it as vulnerable population or population with comorbid conditions like high blood pressure, lung or heart disease, kidney disease, diabetes, cancer, this type of diseases, they are more prone for the complications of the disease. Children and pregnant women as a general population. And in general, if you want to say, anybody can get this COVID. Now the situation is that even without a proper contact history, person can get a COVID. And the studies conducted at different places, surveillance studies conducted at different places, shows that it can go subclinical also. Without any clinical symptoms, infection can happen and you develop immunity or antibodies against it. Research indicate adolescents or children and adolescents are just likely to become infected as any other age group. Evidence suggests that children and young adults are less likely to get severity of the disease. They get affected, but the severity of the disease is comparatively low, and they should follow the same guidelines as we advise for the adults. The first death of infant has come from Kerala, and the comorbidity of cardiac illness, congenital heart was there. There were a couple of cases in Noida and Delhi and other places too, wherein the death or the fatality has taken place along with the comorbid conditions, usually the congenital heart. This newspaper clipping, wherein it is said that any age group, children or adult, any age group, they're all susceptible for the infection. 1 to 10 years of age, 21.4% susceptibility. Whereas above 80, it is 25. Means everybody is susceptible for the disease. There is no male-female variation also. Comparatively, female population is less. Some reports suggest that infants under 1 year and those who are having underlying medical conditions, as I said earlier, they are having higher risk. But in children, the classical symptoms of respiratory presentation like cough, cold, high-grade fever, stuffy running nose, and these things may not be. The presentation is more of gastrointestinal, GIT in nature, like vomiting, diarrhea, and such things. This is one initial study of China, where the fatality rate was 0.05% in children particularly. 2,000 cases were studied, and more than 51% had mild illness, 39% moderate illness. That means they all recovered clearly. 4% were asymptomatic. That means nearly about 93% of the cases go safe, whereas only 7% was reported to be entering into critical stage. Similar observation is there from the United States of America also. Pediatric multi-system inflammatory syndrome This presentation is seen in children affected with COVID-19. Out of 70 cases, only 3 deaths were reported. That is hardly 1% or 1.5%. Symptoms may mimic Kawasaki disease, atypical Kawasaki syndrome-like presentations. Persistent fever, often skin rashes, abdominal complaints. The important thing is no respiratory involvement. PCR tests were negative. Antibody testing COVID-19 were positive. And children having strong family history of positive contact, wherever it was reported, there was strong history of family contact. And post-infectious inflammatory syndrome was more prominent in children. So children have a different presentation from that of adults, and again it is different in comorbid conditions. The same study is repeated here. This is again the Times of India today's clip. Organ involvement, rare but emerging concern, says doctors from All India Institute of Medical Sciences and other institutes. Less than 5% of the COVID positive kids require ICU care. Every not required. Out of 570 children in US identified with multi-system inflammatory syndrome. In the reported population, the percentage of multi-system inflammatory syndrome style-like presentation was more rather than the classical COVID-19 presentation as we see in case of adults. The herd immunity is a question now. Everybody says herd immunity, but it is still yet to be achieved. To the management, a general line of management is supportive care. Prevention is the best thing first, and then is supportive care. Symptomatic treatment has to be given. Medication is as similar as that of adults, only the difference with the dosage of the drugs, and life supportive measures if required, like oxygen therapy or steroidal therapies or very specific antiviral drugs. It is if required. It is not a general listing. So the present day, what they do is, if patient comes with the mild to moderate symptom, as a general rule, they give supportive therapies like vitamin C, B complex, zinc, and other things. And along with that, they give treatment for hyperpyrexia, the fever part of it, like paracetamol. And in some hospitals, they give hydroxychloroquine, looking into the system. But hydroxychloroquine, again, it has its own dangers. And then they manage the case. If case worsens, then they go for other remedies like oxygen inhalation. SpO2, the oxygen concentration in blood, is taken as one of the yardsticks. 95 and above is the target. It should be maintained. With pulse oximeter, generally it is done. Unfortunately, recently there was reports that pulse oximeter is giving wrong reports, but it should be standard one. And if pulse oximeter reading goes below 92, then it becomes a bit difficult. Then you have to go for oxygen therapy and further management. There are more than 16, 17 drugs available in the market in the modern medicaments, of which 2 drugs are very widely used and 2 have promising evidences, whereas the rest 12 are tentative, mixed evidence, or not at all promising. Hydroxychloroquine is coming under the lower side. It's again not a very promising drug. Coming to Ayurvedic understanding, if you want to have a view of this, we can explain this COVID infection is a pandemic. Pandemic means a large number of population in a group of societies. That is can be explained in terms of Janapadodvamsa. Jwara is a prominent feature. Tasa, Swarabheda, Shira, Shula, Shwasa, these are the things seen along with that. Angamarda, Atisara is also seen in some cases. Looking into this, it appears to be a Vata Kapha predominant. Pitta Samsarga, inflammatory changes if enters, then Pitta Samsarga takes place and it becomes a Tridoshaja. Some of the cases present with Rakta Pitta, bleeding disorders, Rakta Pitta-like presentation, and some present with Dhatopaka-like Lakshana, and it can also be compared with the Dushi Visha. Dushi Visha speciality is, it remains in the body for a longer time, and whenever a favorable time comes, it flares up. This is what is seen in case of this type of viral infections also. If we have good immune power, if our immune system is very active and able to suppress, then okay, fine. The disease presentation will not be there. Otherwise, whenever body becomes weak, the disease presentation will be there. That is what is Dushi Visha concept is. In the management from Ayurveda, Kapha, Vatahara drugs are to be used mainly with the tagline of Pitta Virodhi. It should not be aggravating Pitta On the other hand, it should be Vata Kapahara or Kapha Vatahara. That means in general, it should be Tridosha. Deepana Pachana Anulomana is a must in every case because Ama aggravates the conditions. And once these things are given, if you have a Rasayana drug having all these properties, then it will be the ideal one. As in case of the Guduchi, which has been highlighted and which has been propagated by all over India as well as world. The other preventive measures like Dhupana, it's very effective. Nasya, Kavalagandusha, Anjana, these things also can be done. See, what is required is you have to prevent the entry of the microorganism into the body. The entry routes of COVID-19 is mouth, nasal, or eye. Nasal route you can prevent with Nasya. The eye route you can prevent with the Anjana. And the oral route you can prevent with Kavala and Gandusha. And Dhupana is a general method with which you can prevent the virus spreading. There is one specific variety of Dhupana called as Aparajita Dhupa, which is very popular in Kerala now. And there was a study in Kerala, Trivandrum. What they found is the Dhupana Karma conducted with Aparajita Dhupa, the microorganism, it is not specific to COVID as such, it is for the general microbacterial and microorganism population. What they found is if Aparajita Dhupana is done, the population drastically reduces from 800 plus before Dhupana to 5, 6, 7 after Dhupana. So Dhupana Karma is also having very good effect on spread of or checking the spread of the virus in the society as a whole. So you have to prevent the spread of the virus, one side. You have to treat the doshic involvement, whatever doshic vitiation what is taken place on the other side. And once you have achieved success, then you have to give Rasayana for the restorative purpose, restoration of the immune system. This is general management. Now coming to the impact of this COVID, particularly on children, we are going to speak now. The lockdowns. We had a lockdown 3 and then modified lockdowns in different places. Interstate, interdistrict movements were restricted, and all these things have put a lot of burden on the society. Partial knowledge, economic loss because of the lockdowns, still of all outdoor activities, lot of misconceptions and fear of unknown. We don't know what is this COVID-19. Initially it was known as China fever or Wuhan fever. Then they came to know, yes, it's a corona. Corona again, it's a RNA coronavirus, and then modified. Different strains are there. No daily routine activities such as school, outdoor activities, friends, play, park, cinema, hotel, etc. Not only for children, for adults also. A lot of idle time, lazy time, and how to pass the time. This was the question. Stress of parents, economic loss, economic burden, and other things. Stress on parents, parents stress transferring to the children, not utilizing the idle time of children efficiently. That also creates stress. In one clip which I received, which I read today morning itself from the local newspaper, that hospitals report cases of mostly youth slashing themselves, injuring themselves because of the stress components. Loss of job, financial stress, death of domestic violence, domestic stress, all these things. And again, there women population was more, and women again on the lower age group, it was reported. Children are not apart from this. Psychological stress on children is very high. Changed lifestyle because of there is no school, they need not get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and rush to the school. Leisurely they get up. All lifestyle is changed. The closure of the school activity is closed. Lack of outdoor activities because of the fear of the virus. Group activities are stopped. Extracurricular activities are stopped. Lack of direct interaction with the peers. Change in dietary habit because of the availability as well as preparations, hotel and other things. Disturbed or changed the sleeping habits, many social factors. And more to this for children, impact of online learning. Online learning is new for many, and a large population of India do not have access to online learning materials. Even if there is an approach, or if they are able to access to the materials, adjustment issues, concentration issues, you have to sit in the house and attend the classes, that is another issue, and leading to other health issues. We will discuss about some of the very important health issues too. The child nutrition programs, majority of population in various states of India, they depend upon the nutrition programs of the government, ICDS, midday meal program and other things. The impact of social distancing, school closure, trade restrictions and lockdowns. It has its direct impact on the food system. Every one of us, we know that the price of vegetables, price of items have gone shooted up. Disruption in production, transportation, sale of nutritious, fresh, affordable foods, that is disturbed. Compulsion to rely on alternatives, that is stuff, the store, tinned, ready to eat foodstuffs. Poor nutrition value and leading to undernutrition. Child malnutrition, long-term effect is growth stunting, micronutrient deficiencies, and on the other hand, very important is overweight. How overweight can happen because of this lockdown effect, we will see it. The other child health issues. Parents are much concerned about the health of children. Healthcare facility, access to the healthcare facility because movement is restricted. Availability of medicine, supply of medicines are restricted because of that availability is restricted. Various vaccination programs, supply chain management disrupted, access to vaccination because of that vaccination programs are disturbed. Parents are under stress that vaccines are not administered in time. That again creates problem. Emergency healthcare facilities because of the access. And even if you have access to the hospital, you go there, they will check for COVID first. Lot of news have come where patient has reached the hospital in time but could not get the medical attention in time, leading to complications. Poor nutrition, poor immunity, because immunity depends upon the quality of food we consume, the nutrition we take. Increased risk of infectious diseases. This is infectious diseases, prone to infectious diseases. Again, poor immunity, slow response to the treatment, and bad outcome. These are all the things healthcare related. Anxiety related issues, behavioral issues, temper tantrum, depression, other things. See, stress leads to depression, depression leads to loss of appetite is less intake, less nutritious diet, and deficiency disorders. The same stress can lead to anxiety, anxiety leads to disturbed sleep lead to sleep disturbances. Disturbed digestion, constipation, GI disorders. It can be constipation, on the other hand, it can be atisara also. Bhayaja, shokaja, atisara, that also can take place. We have come across with such complaints also. Stress, for stress releasing purpose, you have to get engaged something, overeating, whatever is available, minching, and that continues to increase unwanted or calorie items, leading to obesity. No school, there is no school activity, getting engaged in gadgets like TV, mobile, video games, etc., leading to sedentary life. Obesity also adds to the obesity. These are all the effects what we see on children. Further, decline in cognitive domain activities. There is no school, no activities, no studies, no homework or less homework. Cognitive restricted or reduced, leading to decline in cognitive activities. No specific work, sedentary lifestyle disorders. Impact of online learning, it is a new thing. As I said, it is adjustment issues, health issues are there. Excessive use of electronic gadgets. These online activities have increased or made it compulsory to have access to electronic gadgets like tablets and laptops and mobiles. It starts as a time pass, later becomes a habit. Online learning and resources. It becomes a compulsion for online learning and resources too. Effects of these electronic gadgets, what it does on children. You can see some of the important points. It hampers cognitive development, as I said, already discussed. Builds obsession, leading to agitation. Initially, even parents also hand over or give this mobile or such gadgets to children or child to keep it engaged. So as it continues, it becomes a habit, and habit turns to obsession, and obsession leads to, or non-availability of the item leads to agitation, temper tantrum, behavioral changes, behavioral disorders that develops. It is said that this electronic gadgets, even it can hamper the growth and development also. Delayed physical development, lack of physical activity. If a child is supposed to walk at the age of 1 year, and 1 to 2 years is the period when child learns to stand, walk, run, all physical activities. If such things are delayed, then definitely the delay in the growth activities will be seen. That also contributes to childhood obesity again. Social relationships, excessive engagement to the gadgets. You might have seen the children when they're sitting in front of the TV. Any guest come to the house, they don't attend. They just say look here and there, and then just they engage themselves with the gadgets itself. Lack of attachment with family and friends. Social circles leading to no friend. That child will be friendly with the gadget rather than he may not be knowing who is there on the next door of his same age. Increased risk of obesity, we have already discussed, and less focus on studies. This is another issue. Sense of isolation. Later, sense of social isolation also can come in the child. Excess dependency on the gadgets, and that can spoil his personality. It can create behavioral disorders too. It triggers certain physical problems like neck and back pains. Of course, every one of us, excess use of computers, we know we develop shoulder pain, we develop pain in hand, we develop backaches. These children are not devoid for these things. It can happen with them also. This is a very important thing. Overuse of gadgets results in drying up of eye fluids. Lacrimation comes down. And this lacrimation comes down, dries the eye, dry eye causes multiple eye infections because we have to keep our cornea, conjunctiva wet always. If it is dry, then it becomes susceptible for a lot of infections and vision defects. Further, blue light emitted from these electronic gadgets, they are very sharp and displays, they display or they prevent the release of melatonin, an important sleep-inducing hormone. So excess use of these type of gadgets can reduce the release of melatonin and leading to sleep impairments in children. This is again reported. Too much of contraction of eye muscles can make it difficult for them to relax easily, causing pseudomyopia. This is one study reported. Parents are advised to keep their children away from gadgets and not hand it them unless it is really important. Even if, of course, because the online teaching and all, it becomes very essential. But in case it is to be given, it should be restricted. Watching televisions from a distance is much safer than starting at a gadget which is very close to the eyes. These are the measures with which we can check the ill effects to some extent. Filtering goggles are also available in the market. Now, radiation exposure. All these electronic gadgets, they release ionizing and non-ionizing radiations. You can see in the lower side, electromagnetic spectrum of different gadgets, the cell phone, the TV, the microwaves, infrared devices, light, and the radioactive waste. To this extent it goes. This radiation, it is not good for the body at all. Wireless gadgets emit radiation, which is absorbed in the child's body at particular rate, that is higher than the adult. Children are more susceptible, having more absorption power for the radiation, and that is not good for them. They expose or they give children susceptible for different types of cancers and other health risks. This may be a reason that why the number of cancers in children is increasing now. Excess use of or improper use of gadgets. Impact of using gadgets on early childhood period. There are positive impact as well as negative impact too. The positive impact is there, but negative impact is higher. So we should be restricting it to it. The positive impacts are the development of imagination, training intelligence, self-confidence, increased developing abilities in reading, mathematics, problem solving, and idea, imagination. Things will come. Yes, they are all good, but negative impacts are being private, brain health is disrupted, impaired eye health, impaired hand health, use of fingers only, sleep disorders, loneliness, violent behavior, fading of creativity, and exposed to the radiation. These are all negative impacts. So we have to judge which is good, and you have to act accordingly. Parents have to act accordingly. Similarly, gadgets have social and emotional development. They have their impact on social, emotional development also. Positive impacts: children get lots of information easily. They can communicate anywhere in the world. You know very well that with WhatsApp you can talk to a person in America within no time. This was not there earlier. The creativity, challenging games, challenges in front, ideas will come. These are all the positive side. On the negative side, reduce interaction with others. Potentially keeping things close, lazy to do other activities, aloof, fostering an egocentric attitude, self-centric attitude will develop, triggering mental illness. disruption of child development, lack of socialism. These are the negative impacts. So we have to, or parents have to judge which is good and which is bad. If it is good, okay, well, but there is a bad part also. These bad parts are to be minimized. Attention is better. Try to check the use of things. Limited use of gadgets. Why expose your child to gadgets for entertainment? It is not required. Allow them to grow up now. Dolls and building blocks, puzzles, tennis, indoor games, outdoor games, if possible. Technology should be encouraged to be in the moderate this thing. Introduce new habits of playing outdoor and interesting games with kids of his age. That means mingling with his age, mingling with the indoor activities. A lot of indoor activities are there with which you can engage your children. Like we have a game called as chess, you know very well. It was Chaturanga in India earlier days. This is a game with very good impact on the cognition, imagination, and calculation, mathematics, everything. Of course, other games are all there. You give some games to the mind also, like yoga, exercise, and other things. You can involve your child in the daily course of activities. Art and craft, drawing, stitching, dancing, singing, these things can be done at home itself. And in the study, of course, gadgets are being used, or in the study period, break in between. Give sufficient time to relax also along with serious studies. Of games available which are cognition improving, which are physical strength improving, which are concentration improving. That type of games like Rubik Cube, we have got pyramids, we have got a lot of such things. Such things can be given to the child. This is a list of activities which you can indoor itself. You can have a digital tour, world tour. You can have electronic gadgets with you. With the practice, you can take the child to Paris, you can take the child to London or wherever you want. Indoor picnics you can arrange in the house itself. This all depends on the creative nature of the parents. Even other things like in the kitchen, you can involve them in the cutting vegetables, or cleaning the house, utensils, arranging clothes. Plenty of things are there. How we can contribute. It is the mother of all healing sciences. Ayurveda is the first organized medical system in the world, which again defined what is swastha means. That is samadosha, samagnisha, you know very well about this. Health in Ayurveda explained in not in one, but in different places, like niyamas, nidra, brahmacharya. Brahmacharya doesn't mean celibacy alone. Sensory activities or controlled sensory activities. Dinacharya, Rutucharya, Vyayama, Sadvrata, Rasayana, all these things are preventive approach of Ayurveda if judicially used. In addition to this, for children, of course, we have got Medhya Rasayanas. We have got tonics with gold, that is for Saraswatarishta, Swarna Prashana, and other things. We have got a lot of general tonics, Avalehas, Ghritas are available, which are Medhya in nature, which are supportive to growth and development. We have Ahara itself as Rasayana, like Nityam Kshira Ghrita Abhyasa, daily use of Kshira, Ghrita, Madhu. Raksha karma measures like Abhyanga, Snana, Dhupana, Vastra, Paritharana, etc. Ahara, Vihara, Achara, Vichara, and Sutrata. These are the things with which we can improve the immunity, we can improve the disease protecting power of the body. Not only for children, of course, it is applicable to all. This is just about the immunity in general. Ayurveda explains immunity in different terms like Vyadhikshamatva, Bala, Oja, Shuddha Shleshma, Vyadhi Vighata Karabhava, Ahara Sampat, Sharira Sampat, Vaya, Rasayana, and other things. Of course, these are all Ayurveda concepts explained at here and there. But if you put all these things together, it goes to the concept of immunity. The Ojo Vardhaka therapy, when Oja Kshaya is there, Ojo Vardhana can be done. The first thing is Rasayana. If you want to maintain Oja, you need to have good Rasayanas. If you have an enhancement of Oja, you need Rasayana. So in short to say, Rasayana drugs are to be used along with other measures. What is Rasayana? You know very well. Labhopayo, Vishasthanam, Rasadinam. The varieties of Rasayanas are available. Rasayanas are available. That means every decade you lose one activity, or your one activity becomes poorer, and you have to strengthen it. That means Rasayana will not act by 1 day or two. Rasayana is to be taken for a longer duration. In the long run, Rasayana helps the body. There are a lot of instances where I have given Rasayanas to elderly people, particularly who are having diabetes, who are pre-diabetic in nature, and we have given Rasayana Dravyas. Rasayana Churna is the most commonest drug which I am using, and it prevents the occurrence of the disease. It checks the occurrence of the disease, or it keeps the disease at bay. I'm not telling that it is curing, but it is keeping it at a distance. Factors what you have to consider, all these things you have to consider: Dushyam, Desham, Balam, Kala, Manalam, Prakriti. A Vaidya who is having knowledge of Ayurveda, for him these are not required, because he considers all these things before selecting the drug. These rasayanas, if you want to explain in modern pharmacological or pharmacodynamic and pharmacokinetic way, then some of the rasayanas are antioxidants. All rasayanas are not antioxidants. Some of the rasayanas are adaptogenic in nature, some are immunomodulatory, some are nootropic or medhya, some are balya brahmana like alcoholic, some are anti-stress, and some are intellect and memory boosters. So good number of rasayanas are there. What is required, where you have to select and give. The best rasayanas, according to me, origin is amalaki. Somebody may say that it is guduchi. Okay, fine, no issue. But there are good number of rasayanas available from plant origin also. In the animal origin, kshira and ghrita are the best rasayanas. You can add madhu also to this. And in the metal and mineral origin, we have got swarna, the best rasayana. These are the common medhya rasayanas which we are using in children. Of course, ashwagandha I am using with caution, not in all, but other things we can use very frequently. Jyotishmati is to be used because it is too much of pitta vardhaka and it is hot in potency, so you should be using with much caution. Other drugs you can use freely. There is one term comes in Ashtanga Sangraha. Commentator says Viruddhabhi Samskriti. We always say that Madhu Ghrita should not be given in equal Matra Viruddha, it is said. But if Matra Viruddha also, if it is given for a specific time period, it makes the body, it stimulates the immune system in the body. Non-specific immunity or general adaptive immunity is stimulated with that. So if you are giving Madhu Ghrita for a newborn baby in equal proportion, you can give for a day or two, not more than that, and that can be given. I'm not telling it is to be given, it can be given. It is left to the yukti of Vaidyas. And the other tonics, when we talk of, it comes Swarna Prashana is the one thing with which we can prevent many things. Are available like Saraswata Yoga, Saraswata Churna, Saraswata Ghrita, Saraswata Arishta, Medhya Rasayanas, Shankha Pushpi. Many Ghrita preparations are there. This is the next two slides are showing tables with which all acharyas, starting with Sushruta. Of course, Charaka has not mentioned about gold as immunomodulator or rasayana. It starts with Sushruta, Ashtanga Sangraha, Ashtanga Hridaya, and later authors like Sharangadhara, Rasaratna Samuchaya, Vaisheshwara. All of them, they have adopted gold alone or gold with other drugs as immunomodulators or as rasayanas for children. We can use them. We are using it also. There are a lot of evidence-based research on Swarna Prashana available online. If you search, at least 30-40 articles are there, effect of gold or presence of gold in the body and its action in maintaining the homeostasis. A lot of studies are there. Honey it itself acts as an immunomodulator because it is energy booster. It gives instant energy. It is absorbed right from the oral cavity, from the tongue itself. The absorption starts and it boosts immunity. There are studies, experimental studies on honey alone, honey and Ghrita together, Ghrita alone for their immunoboosting activity. Honey reduces oxidative stress. It is antibacterial in nature. It stimulates the gut immune system. It stimulates the similar with the Ghrita. Ghrita has got one more this thing. If you are in Medhya drugs, there are two things which can cross the blood-brain barrier. That is, one is Ghrita and another one is fat and another is alcohol. So any medicine with the Ghrita preparation converted into Ghrita or fat-soluble active moiety you have taken, then it is possible that it can reach to the target organ higher centers. Similar is asavarishtas, self-generated alcoholic preparations. Commonly used rasayana drugs, I'm just going fast on this. You can use amalaki, known as I already told. We have got a part of medhya rasayanitis, and in this COVID era, of course, HT Madhu is one of the drug. Shankha Pushpi and Vacha we have, which we can use in children. Common. We have got Guduchi, very much highlighted drug in this present era. Samshamani Vati is one of the preparation of Guduchi Ghana. And this definitely improves the non-specific immunity and prevents the occurrence of various opportunistic infections. Another one is ashwagandha. It's again used in this COVID era. Government of India, Ministry of Clinical Studies, multi-center clinical studies on guduchi, on ashwagandha. Pipali, of course, it's a known rasayana, deepana, pachana rasayana in nature. Pipali increases the bioavailability of drugs because of its deepana, pachana nature. Bulk promoting. We have got another rasayana which is Sariva. Sariva has got another synonym as Ananta. And if you see the textbooks of Ayurveda where pediatric, in the pediatric context, Ananta is mentioned in the right from birth itself. We have got Haritaki. Haritaki is also working as rasayana. There are some studies which are supporting this rasayana nature of Haritaki. And immune powerhouse. There are a lot of like ashwagandha, guduchi, tulasi, kantakari, haridra, vasa, pippali, amla, amalaki, and shati. All these drugs have immune boosting action. Mahabhaishajya and diet is the most important thing. If you want to have good immunity, you have to have good diet. In turn, Ayurveda, the classification of age group is based on the diet. That is Kshirada, Kshiranada, and Annada. In this Kshirada, breast milk is very important as it has been highlighted everywhere. Breast milk enhances the immune system. Kshiranada, Anna plus semi-solids and Kshira and Annada food. The role of these things are very important, very essential for having good immune system. Why nutrition is important. The slide explains about the energy we get from diet, maintenance of all body functions. We need energy, which of course nutrition, vital to growth and development. You need carbohydrate, you need protein, you need fats. The therapeutic benefits, there are therapeutic diets, there are preventive therapeutic diets also. And on the other hand, ahara, it is rasa pradhana always, so it should be tasty, it should be liked, it should increase the strength, it should maintain body functions, it should increase longevity, vitality, memory, intelligence, immunity, etc. So ahara is very vital. Good diet is very essential to have good immunity. The other measures of improving immunity are the dinacharya, rutucharya, and swastha practices. Some of the, you may ask me, dinacharya, can we practice dinacharya or can we induce dinacharya to children? Yes, definitely it can be. It is again age specific. Certain things you can introduce in particular age. Waking up, yes, a newborn baby or a neonate, you may not be able, but an infant, a school going child, definitely you can introduce time of getting up, going to bed, all these things can be. The habits like cleaning the tongue, gargling, massage, brushing, these things can be introduced to the children. Body massage is said to be very important in preventing opportunistic infections. The flowers of Nimba here. In Gujarat, there is a practice of taking Nimba flowers, the juice of Nimba flower with Guda and this thing, Trikatu or Maricha during Chaitra Masa. Chaitra Masa means it comes in the early summer period. And if it is taken for 1 month or so, the next season is Varsha Rutu, where krimi and such things are increasing in the body. So taking the Nimba Pushpa, the krimi effects can be minimized. Such practices are plenty. In my native place of Karnataka, there is Bangalore area, the Tulu speaking region, they have a practice of taking Saptaparna Twak. They collect Saptaparna Twak in a very particular day of this rainy season. They extract the juice and they mix it with the rice and boil, and that is taken as a first diet of a particular day. And this prevents the seasonal fevers, particularly malaria. It is a malaria-prone area, malarial fever. This type of practices. The practice of Kerala, particularly, I don't know, Kerala is, if you are there, you may understand this. Karkataka Kanji, Karkataka Masa, in a particular month, they prepare a a particular variety of rice. It is only rice along with our Ayurveda herbs. And little bitter, little tikta kashaya in taste, but it is very relishing, and it is taken in this particular Karkataka Masa. Karkataka Masa is heavy rain period. All rainy season related diseases are checked with this. You can introduce this. Achar Rasayana is another thing, inculcating good culture, good habit, good behavior in children. Arthashastra, there is one sloka. Lalayet Panchavarshani Tadayet Dashavatsari Prapte to Shodashe Varshe Putra Mitra Vadachari. Lalayet Panchavarshani. Tadayat Dashavatsari. The next first 5 years, love and affection. Next, that is next year means that schooling age. Tadayat Dashavatsari. For next 10 years, you can beat him. Doesn't mean that you have to beat him practically, but it means that if required, you can use harsh measures to inculcate good habit culture in the child. Prapte to Shodashe Varse. One child is mature, 16 years plus age. Putra Mitra Vadache. He is your friend, he is not your son. You have to treat like that. So Achara Rasayana is very vital for having good immunity because psycho-neuroendocrine axis plays a vital role in the immune system. Nityam Kshira Ghritabhyasaha. Daily use of Kshira, Ghrita and honey, of course, I have added. These are again good immune enhancing measures for children. Now some slides, 20 slides are there about World Health Organization of myths and facts of COVID. Time permits, I am going ahead with this. I will go a quick line, and if you are interested, you can just go to the World Health Organization site and search for these slides. These are freely available and it is for public use only. It is a myth that most people who get COVID, mild, moderate symptom can recover thanks to supportive care. Yes, definitely. Most of the people, they recover from COVID. It is said that drinking alcohol prevents the corona. No, it is wrong. Drinking of alcohol do not prevent corona and it can be dangerous again. Thermal scanners, infrared scanners can detect the corona. No, thermal can detect only temperature. Temperature is part of the disease corona. Then there are several drug trials are going on. Currently, drugs licensed for treatment of prevention of COVID-19. There are a lot of drugs. All drugs are in trial and error level only. Research are going on. There is no sure shot remedy for corona as such. Spices, use of hot pepper in your food. There is a belief. This is by WHO and World Population has told this. It is. I don't agree with this. Use of pepper, use of Indian spices. They definitely help in clearing the Agni, in improving the Agni, improving the immune status. That can be used. But simply taking a hot pepper soup may not be of help. It spreads by house flies, mosquitoes and all. No, it is not true. It is not getting spread by mosquitoes or house flies. Disinfectants, bleach and other things will not protect you from COVID-19. No, it is again certain circumstances, depends on which circumstances you are using it. Disinfection is very good, the bleaching is very good with the limited access. Methanol, alcohol, bleaching, perception. 5G mobile network do not spread, that is a wrong perception. Exposure to sunlight, high temperature, above 25 degrees, do not, no, it is totally wrong because hot summer we had high episode of corona infection here. Symptoms of corona are cough, tiredness, fever. Some people develop more severe symptoms. Yes, definitely. COVID can be transmitted in areas with hot and humid climates. Not very sure. It can be spread in any climate. Cold weather and snow cannot kill the new coronavirus. Again, there is no reason, there is no evidence for this because Wuhan is a chill, cold area and the Europe country is totally affected with the coronavirus. The temperature never goes very high. Water bath prevents new corona disease. Yes, it prevents because it is a hygiene measure, but it doesn't mean that only taking bath will prevent the corona infection. It cannot be. Hand dryers effective in killing new coronavirus? No, hand dryers, no, hand wash. You need disinfectants of ethanol, methanol, alcohol and other things. Simple soap water wash is also sufficient. Hygiene is very important. Ultraviolet rays should not be used to disinfect hands and skin. Yes, ultraviolet radiation can harmful to the skin, so it is better not to use. Vaccines against they can prevent corona. No, it is not true. There should be a specific vaccine. It is yet to come. Regularly rinsing nose with the saline help to prevent the infection. The WHO side says no, but it definitely checks the spread of virus or entry of virus into the system. So nausea can be done. Eating garlic, they are talking of garlic alone, but I am not talking of garlic here. Spices, use of spices will help in keeping your system healthy. Your system is healthy, your immunity is good. Corona cannot come. coronavirus affect older people or younger people. All susceptible. I have shown the data. Antibiotics are effective in preventing corona infection. Yeah, no, not specifically. Antibiotics are given as a prophylaxis for other additional infections. Virus, as on date, no specific medication. You have a lot of prophylaxis or preventive measures available. That is supportive therapy. The Ministry of Ayush has come out with the Ayush Patha and Ayu Raksha kit, which contains or immune enhancing, immune boosting measures with which you can prevent occurrence of the disease. It doesn't mean that even if we are taking it, corona will not come. It is not like that. Everything has to be social distancing, mask, hand hygiene, everything to be maintained. Good nutritious diet is to be taken. Along with that, if you take that, chances of corona infection is comparative. These are the slides taken from World Health Organization site. And why I am showing this slide? It is our Prime Minister. We should be grateful to our Prime Minister for this. He is the man who is behind the industry of yoga, with which in 2014 made yoga the worldwide, and later he has introduced the Ayurveda Day. Indirectly, corona infection has helped in propagating Ayurveda worldwide. And with these words, thanks to our Prime Minister. Thank you all for hearing, giving me a chance to address you all. And special thanks to Zandu for that, with which I could reach to you all. The final say is Ayurveda Amritanam. Yes, Ayurveda has everything. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Excellent, Dr. Rajagopal, excellent. Great. In great way, you have explained everything.
Thank you, sir.
Aditya?
Sir, it was a very nice presentation and very well explained in the current scenario of this COVID-19, sir. And I thank you very much for your presentation. And I thanks Dr. Shankar sir for the presentation. And next I request Dr. Pawan Kumar Sharma to
Thank you. On behalf of Mami Jandu, any question is there from audience? If any question is there, please ask. So nicely explained. I don't hope any question will be there. Both of the speakers are great, no doubt, with great scientific knowledge, excellent presentation. I'm really thankful, grateful to both the speakers, though they are younger brother of me, on behalf of Jamnagar. Yes, sir, but they are really great. You are really great. I would like to have your wisdom and expertise for next lectures also. Hari Om. Thank you, speakers. Thank you, Dr. Shankar Rao. Thank you, Dr. Rajagopal. Thank you, audience experts. Jayesh Thakkar, Rekha Sinha ji, Jayakrati Sharma ji, Seema Gupta ji, और आदित्य मिश्रा जी. हरिओम. Thank you very much.